Imagine this. You wake up one morning with a strange, unsettling clarity, as if overnight a veil has been lifted from your mind. You go about your usual routine, brushing your teeth, checking your phone, sipping your coffee, but something feels off. Like a hidden script is playing in the background of your thoughts, whispering familiar reassurances. You'll start tomorrow. You're doing your best. You don't really care what people think. You're fine. But for the first time, you hear them differently. Not as truths, but as something else, half-truths, illusions, lies. Your mind races. Why would I lie to myself? The idea seems absurd. Lies are for deception, for manipulation. But who exactly are you deceiving? And why does it feel so necessary? You step outside and observe the world with fresh eyes. People scroll mindlessly through their phones, eyes glazed over. Conversations feel rehearsed, predictable. A coworker laughs a little too hard at a joke that wasn't funny. A friend insists they're happy, even as exhaustion lingers in their voice. The world is drowning in unspoken fictions, and suddenly you wonder, how much of my own life is built on the same foundation? What if the greatest obstacles you face aren't external but internal? What if the beliefs that bring you comfort are the very ones keeping you trapped? And here's the most disturbing thought of all. If you've been lying to yourself every day, how would you even know? The mind is a masterful architect of deception, not just in the way it hides painful memories or distorts reality, but in how it carefully constructs the person you think you are. Carl Jung called it the persona, the mask you wear to function in society. It's the polished version of yourself, the one that conforms, pleases, and reassures. But beneath it lies the shadow, the part of you that holds everything you suppress, your fears, your insecurities, your forbidden desires. And here's where the first great lie emerges. The belief that you are only your persona, that the self you present to the world is the full truth of who you are. But the deception runs deeper. Friedrich Nietzsche warned of the herd mentality, the unconscious force that molds people into obedient, passive beings. Society doesn't just shape your behavior, it implants beliefs so seamlessly that you mistake them for your own. You convince yourself that you desire what is socially acceptable, that you think independently when, in reality, you have merely adopted the thoughts of the collective. Arthur Schopenhauer took it even further, arguing that most human actions aren't guided by reason, but by an unseen, irrational will, a force that tricks you into justifying decisions after the fact, making you believe you are in control when you are merely reacting. And so every day you lie to yourself. You tell yourself you're happy when you're numb. You tell yourself you have time when you are wasting it. You tell yourself that you don't care what others think, when deep down, their judgment shapes you more than you'd ever admit. But what are the consequences of living this way? What happens when an entire life is built on self-deception? Self-deception isn't just a harmless coping mechanism, it's a prison. A quiet, invisible force that shapes the course of your life without you ever realizing it. Every lie you tell yourself creates an invisible boundary, limiting what you see, what you attempt, and ultimately, who you become. Think about the opportunities you never pursued. Not because they were impossible, but because you convinced yourself they were. The skills you never developed, the relationships you never deepened, the risks you never took. You told yourself it wasn't the right time, that you weren't ready, that you didn't really want it. But was that the truth, or was it fear dressed up as logic? Neuroscientists have long studied cognitive biases, mental shortcuts designed to keep you comfortable. The confirmation bias ensures that you only seek out information that supports your existing beliefs. The status quo bias makes you resist change even when it's necessary. The self-serving bias lets you take credit for your successes, but blame circumstances for your failures. Now apply this to your own life. How many times have you told yourself that things will get better on their own? That you're too busy to work on your dreams? That you'll start being disciplined next week? These lies feel safe, even comforting, but they steal something precious: time. And here's the most devastating part. A lie repeated often enough becomes your reality. The more you tell yourself a falsehood, the more it cements itself into your identity. Eventually, you don't even realize you're lying anymore. So how do you break free? How do you see through the illusions and reclaim control over your own mind? Rebellion begins with a single terrifying act: telling yourself the truth. Not the convenient truth, not the one that keeps you comfortable, but the raw, unfiltered reality you've spent years avoiding. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I pretending not to know? Carl Jung believed that true self-awareness comes from integrating the shadow, facing the parts of yourself you deny. This means admitting that your excuses aren't reasons, they're fears, that your distractions aren't harmless, they're chains, that the person you think you are might just be a carefully crafted illusion. It is painful, it is disorienting, but it is also liberation, because once you see the lie, you can no longer live by it. Friedrich Nietzsche called this process self-overcoming, the act of shedding the false layers imposed by society, ego, and fear. It is not comfortable, and it is not easy. It means questioning every assumption, challenging every excuse, and dismantling every belief that keeps you weak. Start small. Catch yourself when you say, "I don't have time." Is that true? Or are you avoiding something difficult? When you think, "I'll start later," why later? Why not now? Recognize that every excuse is a choice, and every choice shapes your future. The moment you stop lying to yourself, reality shifts. The limits that once felt unbreakable begin to crack. The weight of avoidance is lifted. The prison door, once locked from the inside, swings open. But there's one final truth, one realization so profound it changes everything. Here is the truth you've been avoiding. No one is coming to save you. Not time, not luck, not some future version of yourself who magically has it all figured out. The only thing that exists, the only thing that has ever existed, is now. You've spent years telling yourself comforting lies, believing that change will happen someday, that things will fall into place eventually. But the harshest truth, the one that stings the most, is that if you do nothing, nothing changes. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the depths of human suffering in Nazi concentration camps, discovered that meaning is not something you find, it is something you create. And that creation begins the moment you stop waiting. So ask yourself, what if you had no more excuses? What if starting today you spoke only the truth to yourself about yourself? What if every moment of hesitation was met with action? What if you stopped hoping for a different future and started building it? Because the final, most powerful realization is this: you are already free. The walls that trapped you were never real. The fears that held you back were never insurmountable. The lies that kept you stagnant were never the truth. So stand up, walk forward, and from this moment on, never lie to yourself again.